Hello everybody, this is Jacob from Wager Me This. Sorry I didn't make a video yesterday. I actually been working. I go to work very early in the morning when I do go to work. In the mornings because I work days and nights at my, I guess I'll call it my real job. But yesterday, sorry I didn't put out the bets. So this is going to be my daily pick for today, which is Tuesday, the 25th of November. Most of what I like today is in college basketball. I've only made two bets myself, and we'll get to them in a minute. But I want to talk about the last picks I made. So Cleveland was easy, right? We made the Cleveland bet +4, +3.5, whatever you got it at. That game was never in doubt. Cleveland's defense did exactly what I thought it would do to the Raiders, dominated them. Guys, the Raiders are a really bad football team. It's not just one player, one group, or one side. The whole thing is a bad football team. In fact, in my opinion, they really only have one really good player. I don't even know that Ashton Genty's all that good. Brock Bowers is a great player. Other than that, I can't point to one spot on their team where I'm just impressed by any one of their players. And the group itself is not good either as a whole. And I actually think Pete Carroll's kind of past his ability to coach NFL football. I think he was kind of losing it in Seattle. He gets this job at the Raiders, and it's not good. It's not been good. I don't think they've played one really good game. Maybe the Jacksonville game earlier in the year, or maybe that New England game. But just the Raiders are a bad football team, and they're poorly coached with a bad quarterback. It's not good. It's not good. Brock Bowers needs to run for the hills. But that was an easy play, easy pick, easy win. A lot of times in the NFL, there's one or two like that every week that are really glaring. Sometimes you pull the trigger, sometimes you don't on them. If you can pick them out every week, you'll be a really good NFL handicapper. But it's sometimes that you see it and you like, hey, that's an easy play, and then you don't play it because you talk yourself out of it or whatever, for whatever reason. But it is what it is there. The second one, the Cowboys and Eagles game, we were one field goal away from hitting the over. We missed two field goals in the game. Dak threw an interception in the end zone. They got stopped on fourth down. I just repeated chances to get that over. Philadelphia fell apart in the second half. Just so many chances. I don't know how that one didn't go over. Honestly, I can't even fathom that didn't go over. But that actually happened early in the year, the first game of the year with Dallas and Philly. There was like 41 points in the first half in that game, and it didn't go over. Ended up being like 3 or 6 points or something in the second half. Same similar kind of situation. But either way, I still think that was a good pick. It just didn't go our way. So I think overall on these videos, I'm 4-1 on these daily pick videos. So that's good. 4-1, we'll take that. But so another thing I want to talk about in the last video, I talked about not taking those big spreads, not laying those big numbers. I don't think any one of them big numbers covered. Those 12.5s and 13.5s. I think every one of those I think one of them may be tied, and I think the rest of them actually lost if you took the points you won on all those games. Those NFL spreads that are that big, they just don't tend to cover. It's NFL teams, I'll say it again, don't care if they win by 7, 10, 14, 35. If they win by 1, they're fine. They're happy. It only counts as 1 no matter how much you win by. The only place it counts more is in the media. The only thing you get more value from is in the media. Now, if you get tied, there's tiebreakers down the line that matter, but it's way down the line in the tiebreakers even. So it really doesn't matter how much they win by, and NFL teams play that way. They don't care. They're going to run the clock out. They're going to be conservative when they have a lead. So that's something to keep in mind if you're trying to get into sports betting, or if you are figuring out sports betting maybe and you're trying to just get better at it. A lot of times, guys, the big NFL spreads they're almost just stayaways because because there's a reason the spread's that big. The teams are that different, but they don't necessarily want to cover it or care to cover it. And it's not that NFL teams look at the lines and they're like, oh yeah, we better cover that spread. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that they just don't go into the games like, oh, we need to beat them by 14. It's not like college. Even college today, they care how much they win by, because though you're still getting voted on in college. Now the playoff system has changed that a little bit, but there's still some at-large bids that it matters how you look. The NFL is not that way. They just go by the record. So keep that in mind when you're making these bets, that you start getting over that number 7, you're starting to get into them bigger spreads, and it may not happen. Last night was a little different. The spread was 7, but Carolina was going on the road all the way across the country. Carolina is a really shaky team. They are not good, but they have a good record as far as they're 500, but it's a weird 500. If you look back on it, I actually took the under 49.5 last night. If you're on, sorry. If you're on my Discord, you would have known that. I actually posted that on my Discord. So just so you guys know, if you join my Discord, it's a wagermethis@gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll send you the link to my Discord. But just so you guys know, the bets, I didn't make a video yesterday, but the bets I put out to Discord were USC -5.5, Auburn -3.5, Christian McCaffrey touchdown. The juice was juiced up on that. I actually paired it with his total yardage, rushing and receiving yardage, and the under 49.5. And I actually ended up betting another bet later, which was I adjusted the spread to 6.5 and took the under 49.5 and paired it up in a parlay. But so those are the bets that I played yesterday, and I went 4-1 or 5-1. I lost the USC game. They only won by 3. They needed to win by 6. But the rest of them, Auburn won easily. Or I say they won by 11. But anyways, let's get to today's game. So I got 2 games today in college basketball. Let's talk about the first game. I'm going to give out my favorite play, and it's Baylor plus 4.5 versus St. John's. Now they're all playing in these tournaments. They're in Vegas, or they're in Maui, or wherever. They're in all over the country right now playing in these tournaments. Baylor is a better team than the country knows right now, and St. John's isn't as good as their ranking. I'll say this about St. John's. St. John's doesn't have rim protection. They don't play defense, really. Not in the sense that you'd think a Rick Pitino, upper tier, a lot of high recruits would play defense. They're not as good as they're portrayed right now, especially their ranking. They lost to an Iowa State team yesterday, and in a good game, but they lost. Iowa State's a good team, but are they middle of the pack of the top 25? Probably 20th. I think there's quite a few teams better than Iowa State. But in the game, I would, if you watched the Alabama game with St. John's, they can't stop any team that is on their level. They don't have the defensive ability or prowess really to stop those teams. And they don't have a big rim protector and stuff. So if you get past their initial perimeter defense, it's pretty easy sledding against them. And Baylor's kind of the opposite of that. Baylor has won their 2 big games. They beat Washington pretty handily, and then won again yesterday. And for whatever reason, I can't remember who they played yesterday. But they won again in this tournament yesterday against a quality opponent, not Tarleton State or something like that. And they're getting 4.5. Baylor's getting 4.5. So you're able to take 4.5 points in these tournament settings. So teams aren't just giving up. They're trying to win these tournaments. That's another thing. These early season tournaments, a lot of times you want to get on the points because teams are going to play it all the way out to the end. But so that's what I like. That's my favorite bet of the day. is Baylor plus 4.5. Now, the other bet I like is in the Tennessee and Houston game. And if you look at kind of these two teams, Houston is always going to get this credit for being this hard-nosed defensive team. But if you actually look at when they play upper tier competition, which what Tennessee is, they're actually very average on defense. They still give up the same, 70 points a game type stuff. It's when they play the lesser teams or teams that are pretty far below them that they're able to hold them in the 50s. I think Tennessee gets in the 70s in this game. I think Houston scores in the 70s. The total is 134.5. So I took the over 134.5. This is actually something I've used with Houston games a lot because they get a lot of lower totals. I mean, I've even seen them in the 120s. And they tend to go over just because that's a really low score in college basketball. And the way I judge these things, just so you guys understand where I come from on this, if you're a quality team, I expect you to score 2 points per minute in college basketball. That's the expectation. That's like my baseline. So that's 40 points per half. Now, does that always work out? No. But then you adjust it based on the team that they're facing's defense. Okay, if they have a good defense, maybe they only score 35 points per half. Maybe they only score 34 points per half. And that's where we're at in this one. I think we're going to see that level of ability. I think both teams score 35 per half, or right in that range. Might get 38 and 33 or something like that. But that's where I'm at with this one. I think that's an easy over. And none of the bets are ever easy, like unders and overs, right? They still have to perform, or they still have to play defense to get there. But I think as far as the handicapping is concerned, I think Vegas got that one wrong. I think it easily gets in the 140s is what I'll say, and it's in 130s. The total is, and that's based on the team's prowess to score. Both of the teams are pretty good scorers. Houston's a pretty good 3-point shooting team. Tennessee's always a pretty good 3-point shooting team. And it's just going to be a good game, and both teams understand what they're playing for here. This is a quad one win, a quality win. This is a resume building win for the 1 seed, the 2 seeds, stuff later on. And these teams know this. These teams know these kind of games really matter. And so expect, full out effort in this one. And I think this goes over pretty easily. So just to recap, my 2 bets today in college basketball are, I like Baylor plus 4.5 facing St. John's. I actually think Baylor wins this game outright. But take the 4.5 because it's always nice to have a little cushion. And then I like Tennessee and Houston to go over 134.5. Anyways, guys, thank you for your time. This is Jacob from Wager